Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Serving It Up. We have a pitcher heavy panel today as Matt Holliday, who has a hip thing. It's healed well enough where he can go visit his son Jackson. So that's what he's doing today. We do have myself, Jim Hayes, along with Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson, and a lot to talk about. But Lance wanted to talk about feedback and feedback he's getting from his community, from the people that watch this podcast that he's familiar with. And I have a feeling it's not going to be kind to me. But Lance, why don't we start there?
I get a lot of good feedback, making the local, meat run, market run, say, hey, I love what you guys are doing on serving it up. They're like, you guys definitely carry Jim. We're glad that you give him a hard time, this and that. And I was like, everybody has that one friend, everybody knows that you just kind of bring along. And you just, they just kind of there. And then, so that's what I said, and they love that. They said, yeah, as long as you keep making him, feel like he's part of it. I go, well, if we got to deal with his AM morning radio skit and this and that. So, I mean, every one of our shows is based around his time frame. I don't understand it, and it's just like I've never been in a situation where everything that we do is based around the help. I don't understand it. I don't get it, but hey, we're here. We're having a good time. The fans in Southern Illinois are loving it. I'm sure Kyle's getting the same thing. It's like, hey, great show. God, that Jim Hayes, just can't get rid of him. But, you always have that one friend that just shows up, and that's Jim.
Okay, so Kyle, the pinata has been raised. You have a stick in your hand. Go ahead and take a few whacks.
Yeah, similar feedback. I think
Oh God,
some of it is, but some of it is they're just wondering where I am most of the time. So I'm not even on my own show half the time. So I don't. I think they're being kind to me as well. They probably want to throw me under the bus a little bit, but maybe they just won't do it to my face. So
in fairness, the emerging star is Lance Lynn because he's doing all these other things, and
he
we
is. This was a
appreciate.
springboard, Jim. Great job.
It was a springboard. I think it
Yep.
was a Lance. I think it was a springboard.
Yeah, my retirement was a springboard because, but whatever, whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's typical. He's that friend that's
Yep.
always there and then takes credit when it's over, but you did nothing.
Yeah.
You're like the guy
Had
in the
nothing
group
to do
project.
with
The
his.
guy in the group project that gets the A that didn't do a damn thing. Jim Hayes.
Yeah, that's
Had
me.
nothing to do with the long career. It was serving it up.
And in fairness, Lance, I've been riding your coattails since you were a pitcher, and we'd have the back and forth. And I'm going to continue to do it as long as I can.
I was gone for 6 years and you were riding my coattail, and I don't understand how that's possible. I was on other teams doing your job for you whenever you showed up to town.
It's because I think of the love for Lance Lynn. Let's be honest about it. There's something that you have that Cardinal fans enjoy,
Or
and
they hate. So either one you want
they
to
don't
see.
hate you.
It's you want to see the rails come off, or you like what you like what you're seeing.
No, but the truth is, as players are moving away from having recently retired for Cardinals, even if they were a guy who didn't get enough love, then suddenly the love pours in. That's true. Cardinal fans don't forget, and absence grows fondness in terms of Cardinal fans. That's how I look at it.
Or they
And
just get happier and happier you're gone. I don't really know.
well, things aren't going great for the Cardinals right now. So let's be honest. You harken back to a better time. I wanted to start. We got a lot to talk about, but I wanted to start with this because I'm just curious since we have two pitchers. So you guys know Tommy Pham. I love Tommy Pham, but Tommy had an incident that almost erupted into a near brawl when the Pirates were playing Toronto. As it turns out, there was a low pitch that was called a ball, and the pitcher and the catcher complained, and Tommy took that as an insult, as he put it, to the hitter and the umpire when there's complaining over a ball that's obviously below the strike zone. It was called a ball, and that's what it was. And there were complaints, and there was a near scrap. Now, in my opinion, watching the video, nobody wanted a piece of Tommy Pham in that situation. I know that look because I've had it. You're like, I'm going to walk away. I'm just curious, as pitchers, okay, if there was a ball that you thought was a strike, maybe it wasn't, and you complain about it, would you take exception if the batter got angry at you? I'll start with you, Kyle, because Lance has been talking an awful lot.
No, I mean, I think I want every close pitch, and the hitter wants every close pitch to go their way. I think Tommy is a very intense player. He knows the strike zone in his mind very, very well, and he probably takes a little bit of exception when other players think that he messed it up, and whatever that dynamic was, it was obviously an interesting situation, but. No, I mean, I always think it's a little funny when, as a pitcher, when I threw a pitch that was, we'll just say at least half the ball was on the plate, because those are ones that hitters probably should know where they're at. Ball's half the ball in the strike zone on the box, and then you go back and he was complaining about how it was off the plate. That's just part of it. I think hitters want every 50-50 pitch, and so do pitchers. So if I say something and the hitter looks at me, I don't know. If I was in an intense moment and I was upset that day, I might say something back. But for the most part, it'd probably just be a little, friendly cat and mouse where we all want those 50-50 pitches going our way.
Lance, I don't think you'd be silent. Just a feeling.
But so like after watching it and all that, it wasn't the pitcher, more so the catcher. I bet you somehow, some way, that catcher was talking too much during Tommy's at bat, and Tommy will let you know when you need to shut up. And that's what happened afterwards. He said, pretty much what happened, ball 4, flip the bat. Are we going to bitch about that one too? That's not close. That was what going on. And then the catcher's like, I wasn't talking to you. He's like, no, but you're talking too damn much, and I'm tired of it. You don't talk when I'm hitting. You don't talk when I'm hitting. I'll let you know when you can speak to me. That's how Tommy works. And hey, when you go back and look at the pitches, Tommy wasn't wrong. And the catcher was bitching about pitches that, weren't strikes. So Tommy's not wrong, but like I said, you do 5 months in Pittsburgh, you're gonna get a little, you get a little squirrely. So, Tommy needs to be on a winner this time of year, or it's not worth his time.
But here's the thing. I watch a lot of baseball. Maybe I missed it. Traditionally, you don't see a bat flip from a walk. As a pitcher, and it wasn't a big one, it was a little take that bat flip. You're on the mound, Lance, and you see that. Tell me you don't say something.
I just walked a guy. He can do whatever he wants. It's like, it's like, especially like if you're like, man, that wasn't even close. Especially ball 4 wasn't. It was obviously the catcher wouldn't stop talking, and Tommy was like, keep your mouth shut, is what it was. And when you look back at it and you watch it, it's like, I don't see anything wrong with it. The catcher, what you're going to get if you chirp back to Tommy. So. And then it's like, I wasn't talking to you, but it's like, no, but you were talking and I didn't want to hear it. So that's just lack of feel for who's in the box. And if you're going to talk, be ready for Tommy to tell you what's up.
Would you be mad if you just issued a ball 4, Kyle, and there was a little sort of taunting bat flip?
Yeah, I mean, you must not have watched the Baltimore Orioles very much, Jim, because there's a lot of Baltimore Orioles that love to flip their bat on walks. Gunnar Henderson is the most aggressive ball 4 taker I think I've ever seen. That bat flies halfway to the on-deck circle. You got to be heads up if you're up next. No, I don't think so. I think especially if it's, like Lance said, it's not close. If it is close, they're probably it's just a cat and mouse again, like every hitter wants to feel like they're getting pitches to hit, and they probably get a little juiced up when they feel the pitcher not wanting to give them a pitch in the middle of the zone. And I'll be honest, I've been in that situation. You're like, man, it's 3-2, first base open right here. I don't know that I want to give one in the middle of the zone versus nobody on, 2 outs, up by 5. Here's a heater in the middle of the zone. See what you can do with it. So I think it juices the hitter up too.
All right. I love Tommy Pham, covered Tommy Pham. Do interviews with Tommy Pham when we're visiting another city because he's instant offense, kind of like you guys. But I'll be honest, I don't think I would ever mess with that guy. Is there a scarier guy in MLB to have a conflict with, Lance?
Shoot, off the top of your head, just because we've been talking about Tommy, no. I'm sure there's some boys out there you don't want to mess with. Tommy takes care of himself. He trains differently than everyone else, and he thinks differently than everybody else. So when you get guys like that, it's like when you do have the bench clearing, he's that guy you got to watch on the outside, and you're like, each team when you feel like, man, I got a bench clear, I'm like, all right, where's he at? There's that guy, and Tommy's that guy when he's on that team. It's like, hey, he's not gonna let anything slide. And if it goes down, he's in. He's in it with the boys for his team. So, as a teammate, Tommy's a guy that you absolutely love, and as an opponent, you love to hate, but you also got your eye on him at all times.
All right, Kyle, Tommy Pham teammate. I know in St. Louis he was very popular in the clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, I think what he brings every day is he brings a high level of expectation for everybody around him. And I think in today's world, I'm not even going to say baseball, in today's world where a lot of our focus is, tends to be on ourselves and, your truth and do your thing and, be the best for you. Tommy still demands accountability and expectations to carry it for everybody else around him. And I respect that a lot.
When a brawl breaks out, in this case it didn't, it was kind of pushing and shoving, and in my opinion, everyone was afraid of Tommy, so it ended quickly. I'll start with you, Lance, on this one. Tell me about a brawl you've been in where, because it seems like baseball, there's really not a lot of punching. There's some shoving, some pushing. I mean, I go back to like the Cardinal brawl with the Reds, right? Johnny Cueto was kicking people. That was the only real incident. Jeff Suppan crawled out of the pile because he wanted to get out of there. But tell me about a brawl you were in where you were afraid that there might be some real fisticuffs, if there was one.
I've never been in one where I was like, hey, there's gonna be where you feel like, oh, this is about to go down. I had a few. I mean, the one that I can think of, and we saw Ramirez and Tim Anderson go at it in Cleveland, but I just got traded. But there was another one the year before in Detroit where Jose Abreu got hit like 3 different times in a row, and if Jose Abreu is pissed off at you, you deserved it. So like there's no way to say it differently. And then he went into second firm on a ground ball, and we all saw it coming. And then there was some bench clearing and stuff like that. And one of the pitchers ran up after him, who hit him, and I was like, bro, you're gonna get this. That was the first or the one time where I was like, he might. If this could go down, where it could happen, and everybody ended up getting a hold of the pitcher. Kind of stopped about halfway. Was like, I was just kidding, just a second, and then so yeah, that was the only time where I was like, okay, that's a true one. We had one back in the day with Puig, right, in St. Louis.
Yeah.
One time where if Puig's involved, there was some, you had some questions about what he was going to do at times. You had to watch him. So you kind of knew the guys that if it starts spiraling, that's going to happen. So Puig was one of those guys where you're like, all right, if you hit him and do this and that, it could get a little squirrely.
How about you, Kyle? You ever been hit or hit someone in a brawl, or have you ever gone out on the field because you're supposed to when you didn't really know what happened?
Been on the field quite a few times. I was kind of hoping later in my career. I didn't really have too many later in my career because I feel like as you get, into that older stage and being a 6'5" guy, you normally are the one that needs to be in the middle of it. My guess is if you look at Lance in his last few, he's probably trying to hold back one of the guys and just kind of diffusing the situation. That's kind of what the veterans do when they go out there. I feel like some of the bench clearing is a little bit few and far between now. I'm not sure if it's, what the cause of it is, but no, nothing really memorable. I mean, I feel like I do remember in one of them, kind of holding the guy that got hit, trying to make sure that he, stayed on the outside and didn't try and go stir it up even more. But most of them diffused pretty quick over a hit by pitch or, something like that. And I think everybody, got cooler heads and it prevailed a little bit.
So one of the things that I think you guys should do is, like in that situation, protect yourself. You have to protect your money. And this is my segue into our new sponsorship. For me, keeping track of the daily expenses, it's a problem. Now, I'm not as rich as you guys, but I have a checking account, savings account, some investments, not to the extent that you guys do. So I needed help. Enter our new sponsor, Monarch Money. Monarch Money is an all in one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one easy interface on your phone or laptop. And right now, just for our viewers, even the ones that don't like me, Monarch is offering 50% off for the first year. I'm using it now to keep track of where I'm wasting money. Also, watching to see if I'm not getting the best return on the small amount of money I have invested. I needed to get organized. Look, people have busy schedules. Money can get left on the table. If you don't watch your money, Monarch Money is perfect. It's a great tool to help you do just that. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code THECAT at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code THECAT. Now, can you guys say Monarch Money for me, Lance? Just say,
Monarch Money. Keep
all
your
right,
shit tight.
Kyle, can you say everybody get on board with Monarch Money? Because they don't really want me to be the spokesman. They want someone who has people that like them.
Got to get on board with Monarch Money and make sure that you're taking care of yourself when it comes to finances. It's a big deal.
All right. That's our new sponsor, Monarch Money. All right, we're going to move on to some other topics. One of them is the commissioner of baseball, who Lance loves, by the way,
Favorite.
has basically said that expansion is coming and there's going to be realignment. And Lance already has a hand gesture. So, Lance, give me your thoughts on that.
Everybody knew this was his last. That's going to be his last hurrah. Look at me. I expanded the MLB. I made pitch clocks and this and that. I'm the greatest commissioner of all time. So tell us something we didn't see coming. It's a bit for years, ever since the National League, when the pitcher hitting was gone. This is the most obvious fucking thing that there is. So thanks for telling us the obvious is coming. You're up, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that is going to happen. It's as leagues, keep being successful. This is the thing that always got me as a player, I guess I'm a former player. As a current player, it always got me whenever he came in.
Did you sign the papers yet? Did you sign the papers yet?
I don't think I've signed anything. I don't know that I had to sign anything, though. I think that's what my agent said. I don't remember. I think this is what always got me as a current player is when you would see articles about how, man, the state of the game just really struggling. Here we are in the middle of the CBA, and man, it's been really tough. Just not sure that we're going to be able to meet some of the expectations that the players have. And now all of a sudden you get through the CBA, and here we are, more fans than ever, more TV dollars than ever, more viewers than ever. Fans are excited, this and that. Now here we are, expansion. Let's get more teams. I think it shows the state of the game. I think is really healthy. I don't know. I think the interesting thing will be what cities they are. I think going west is probably the desire of Mr. Manfred, I would assume. I think it'd be good for the game, but the alignment. I've seen a couple different videos of who people would put in what divisions, and I think that could be really interesting. And I think it up next is going to be expanded playoffs. I mean, it's kind of going to be a little bit of a cycle here, but we'll see what happens.
East and West and 8 teams in each side.
Yeah, that's what every other division does, but every other league does. But you know what, Lance? It's the thing that we talked about as players. It's pretty cool to make the playoffs really mean something, and it's cool that not half the teams get in. Right. I mean, it's not or cool is the wrong word, but it's different. I mean, it makes
you earn
it. You earn it. It makes winning the division even more important. And right now, I think that's kind of diminished even a little bit because the division winners are the ones with the buys that are getting knocked out. So, winning the division, I think, still needs to be a premium. It still needs to be important. And I think, keeping playoff teams the number a little bit lower, puts an importance on winning. And I think it keeps, some of the fringe teams, maybe it helps the fringe teams make their team better, which I think is important for fans.
What two spots in expansion, Jim? Go. You're the media guy. Which media markets can handle 2 MLB teams?
What do you ask? I don't know what you're asking me.
You said expansion. That's going to be 2 teams because everybody likes even numbers.
I want Nashville. I want Nashville. I want
Okay,
Nashville in there.
What's your West team then? Because you got to have a team out west somewhere.
Everyone says Portland.
God, they couldn't even do a AAA team.
I,
Like
I,
Nashville. I mean,
Nashville's growing. That's the one to me that's a slam dunk. Everyone wants Nashville and everything.
yeah.
What about Sacramento? I've heard.
No, I mean,
No.
California doesn't need any more teams.
Well, all right. What do you got for you? Because that's one of the I was going to ask you.
I mean, if you're going. I mean, you got San Antonio and or Salt Lake would be the two that pop into my mind.
And not Nashville.
Well, no, and Nashville. Like I think Nashville's a no doubter, but the
Okay,
problem
I
is
do
you're going
too.
to have is Cincinnati, St. Louis, Braves. You're getting into all their TV markets, give or take. So that's where Nashville's in a bad spot. So
Yeah,
I don't think they get it because of that. Salt Lake is in my opinion a no doubter because there's you have Denver and then that gives you something else in there, and then where else could you go from there? I mean, I heard San Antonio at one point was on the a maybe.
they're a growing market, and
And then
you
the
have
other one
another
would be
team that
Austin.
owns that state right now. Not that they're doing great.
True, and then the other team would be Austin, Texas, would be your equivalent to what Nashville's going, how they're growing, the rate that Nashville's growing in. So, I mean, if you went Nashville and Austin, I don't think there'd be a person in baseball that would gripe about either one of those places. But you'd start talking about Portland and Salt Lake, players would be like,
Oh, that's why I thought Salt Lake. Like, really, like just geographically and traveling it. That is crazy to me. Who would you want to see, Kyle?
I mean, who I want to see, obviously I think Nashville would be sweet. I just don't think if you're going to realign, I think you have to put two teams out west if you want to actually make it make sense, or else you're going to have, two teams. Kansas City and St. Louis are the ones that are going to be kind of stuck in the middle here in Minnesota. Those teams that are actually in the Central are going to be pulled east or pulled west. And I think it's going to be, something like San Antonio is a great call. I guess San Antonio and Salt Lake, if they want to do Portland, it'll be one of those three, I think. My conspiracy theory, as soon as the A's went to Sacramento, and maybe it's not playing out, I haven't kept up with it, but I have a feeling that they stay in Sacramento. I'm not sure how the Vegas thing's going to pan out. If I'm the commissioner of baseball, I think we've let gambling into the game enough. I think going to Vegas is not a great idea, just personally. So I think what could end up happening is I think the A's stay in Sacramento, so that doesn't become an expansion, and then you go Salt Lake and San Antonio.
What do you guys think of this? Because I'm old school. Like I changed my view on the DH because we got to see what Albert did with that last year, and I got a front row seat, and I was like, the DH is great, but I like divisional play, and the way the balance schedule is now, there's extra travel. There's I think series that a lot of people don't necessarily care about. I'd rather see more divisional play. Lance, where are you on that?
I do. The divisional play when you had we had 18 plus games against the teams or whatever. We had 3-3. I think it made things more. You got more of the rivalries and stuff like that. So I liked that format a little bit better than the balance. It was nice playing every team once a year at the end. So I get the point in that, but the divisional, so to answer your question is yes, I like the divisional. I don't think we're going to go back to that format. So if we're not going back to that format, we might as well realign.
Yeah, and like you guys said, it's definitely coming. Are you a fan of divisional play? Like I get, if the Pirates are terrible and you're seeing too much of them, how it loses appeal for fans. But that's how you build rivalries. And I like getting a taste against an American League team here and there, so you get to see something different. But I do think when you water down the divisional schedule, you water down rivalries, which I think are a key element.
I think it's a key element for fans. I don't know that Major League Baseball cares one bit about it. I think that the goal was to get more teams in the playoffs, and I think the only fair way to get more teams in the playoffs is to play everybody more equally, because I think the more that you pick a division that has 2 weak teams in it. We'll say this year, the NL East is not a weak division, but this year with the Nationals, Braves, and Marlins struggling, it's not the same division. All right, now if you're gonna throw in a bunch of more teams, and instead of it being 4, one from each division and 1 wild card, I think you have to split up the schedule if you're going to have possibly 4 teams from one division get into the playoffs. If the 4 best teams, if the 3 best wild cards are from that division. So I don't know. The more teams you have, I think you almost have to spread it out because playing 19 games, the NL Central is a competitive division with how many teams have a good record and are playing well. So, if you have to play 19 games against those guys, it changes a little bit. If you're in the NL East this year, like I said, it's not normally like this, and you're playing 19 games against those teams, it's almost a guarantee that the top 2 teams are going to be in the playoffs.
All right, let's move some and get some thoughts on the Cardinals' current status. I want to know from you, Lance, one thing, maybe one player that you saw this year that maybe broke out that you didn't expect, or maybe it's something where someone didn't get traction when you thought they might. What is one thing about the Cardinals this year that you find surprising?
To answer your question, none of it. It kind of, the people that are doing what they're supposed to do are the people that haven't succeeded the way they thought they were going to before this year still haven't succeeded the way they would hope. I would say, all in all, the reason why they're in a reset is because they had to make sure they had what they had. And at this juncture, my opinion is it's time for you to know who these guys are for the most part. Some of these young pitchers are still kind of we're still kind of wait and see how this stretch goes now that they kind of cleared up some roster spots for them at the trade deadline. So I'm anxious to see how those guys finish the full season here, because September gets a little long for your first full season all the way through some things. But position player wise, I think you know what you have and you know where you need to get better and you know where you need to cut from the edges and create spots for guys and allow them to be who they are. So all in all, not a whole lot's changed from the start of the year. The people that you thought were going to be there are still your guys, and the people that you hoped were going to be your guys haven't quite. They still haven't taken that step. So, have you figured out something for them to take that step this offseason? And if you haven't, then hey, maybe that ship sailed, or that time's coming to an end for them to keep getting thrown out there.
I kind of agree with what you're saying, Kyle. Anything surprise you? Anything you didn't see coming?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Lance and I have a pretty good perspective. We were around most of these guys, so I don't think it's fair to say, I didn't see it coming that Riley O'Brien is throwing this well. I don't think it's fair that I would say that I didn't see, Leahy throwing this well, because I think we saw all these guys in the flashes of what they could be, right? I think it's more, I think you have a few guys that really, in my mind, cemented themselves hopefully as a part going forward. And, one of those guys is Burley. I think Burley is a guy that his career was kind of written off just a little bit as maybe he's not going to be, as somebody that you would have in the everyday lineup. And I'm just looking at it now. I want to say his doubles is what stood out. He's got 20 doubles. I mean, he's got 20 doubles 3 years in a row now, and he's going to be, with a good month and a half here at the end, he's going to be a 20 double, 20 homer guy. That's pretty awesome. I think, O'Brien battled injury all of 2024. And now look what he's done in 30 games. 30 games, no joke to have a sub-2, Jim. I mean, that's wild, in a strikeout per inning. But I'm not surprised, because when you see him throw, and I got a chance to watch him in AAA in the other dugout a couple times, is like, the guy's nasty. He's got high 90s stuff and an electric breaking ball. So I would agree with Lance. I think it was a little bit of a year where hopefully you saw the separation that you were looking for in guys that you need to build the bullpen around, guys that you need to have in the rotation. Liberatore, I'm not going to look too much into the last month. the guy, I know he has great stuff. I know he's got a chance to be a good starter in the big leagues, and it was cool to see that at the beginning of the year. And hopefully those guys, separated themselves and gave you the confidence next year to where now okay, where are we filling the gaps? Where are we moving? In what direction? And who are we going to build each part of this team around? Rotation, bullpen, offense, defense.
I think the amazing thing about this club is they get rid of their three big bullpen pieces, right? Matt's had established himself as a very effective guy who give you multiple innings, spot start if you need it. I think he kind of reinvented himself. Three guys are gone with Helsley, Maton gone. And the guys that have replaced them have been lights out. You mentioned O'Reilly, Leahy. Leahy's been good all year except for that one bump in the road. Swanson has been lights out, and JoJo at the end of most games has looked pretty good too. Lance, it seems to me that those bullpen pieces are something that now you build on, right?
Well, definitely, and I think bullpen pieces we're starting to find are some of the easier things to find if you're able to put them in the right situations with their stuff. They're able to get these guys and interchange them throughout a lineup, and then their quote unquote blocks that make them very reliable. You have guys in bullpen pieces you can find them with starters in AAA that might have good stuff, but maybe only have two pitches, and then you find them a place to plug them in the bullpen. So I think you're starting to see guys kind of being like, hey, we thought he could start, or we thought this or that, but you can always plug and play a AAA starter in the bullpen, and when you get these opportunities, stuff plays. Maybe when the book's out a little bit more on some of these guys, they're gonna have to make some adjustments on the fly. But right now, they can go with their stuff and win, and then you get confidence in that, and then you can start adding on to it, and that's when you become an elite back end guy. Right now, they've got a group of guys that you can put anybody in at any time and get outs, where they're at in the lineup, and that's a good thing to have. Some of the best bullpens in baseball, they don't have a traditional closer. They've got six guys that they can put in wherever at any point in the lineup that the matchups works great, and then they've got a couple guys that can give them multiple innings, and then you have a really good bullpen. The days in the age of, hey, I have my seventh inning guy, eighth inning guy, ninth inning guy are gone for most clubs. You got to have six guys that you can trust, and that's also a way to keep them fresh throughout the year too.
You guys or Kyle mentioned Burley, who fell off the map in the second half, but his first full season in the bigs kind of got more consistent this year. I think he's a guy you build around. Um, I think Herrera has shown that this is a bat you need in your lineup, and you have different places you can put him now. With outfield says he wants to catch DH, but I think Masyn Winn doing what he's doing for a full season, and he's got a bum right knee too. Being able to maintain what I think is some pretty good offense for a shortstop, and really be Gold Glove. Kyle, you're a pitcher. You have Masyn Winn playing short behind you. How much confidence do you get from that?
A lot of confidence. I think it's something that defense. I've always said this: preventing runs is cheaper than scoring runs. So if you can find guys that can prevent runs at an elite level, like Masyn Winn, Nolan Arenado, any glove guy that you have, they inherently add more value. And then when you add the fact that Masyn Winn, when he's on the bases, man, he's such a good base runner. And it's so cool. I haven't watched a ton of the Cardinals just live, but when I do, and I see Masyn Winn hit this 1-2, slider down and away from a righty into right field, man, it's so frustrating as a pitcher. And that's what makes him so good. Mason, he really is an impact player, and I hope that he keeps taking steps forward. One thing that I feel like was always pretty special about him at a young age is, even as fiery as he is, right? He's an emotional player, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But one thing he does is he doesn't let those emotions affect how he plays defense, and that's tough for an emotional player. It really is, and that was always good to see. Is you never doubted the fact that, okay, Mason was upset that he struck out in a big situation the inning before. You never doubted the fact that first ground ball to him that next inning was going to be picked up and thrown to first, and that's a pretty special quality to have, and tough to have as an emotional player.
What do you think of Mason as a guy in the clubhouse? Because being around there, I sense this guy is ready to be a leader for the next group.
No,
I mean,
Mason.
oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you got it. Go. You're ready to rock.
Go.
I mean, I think he could be. I've always taken the approach of a leader doesn't pull people behind him. A leader goes about his business and is basically told by the other people, "Hey, by the way, you're leading us. All right, we're following you. Wherever you want to go, we're going." I think he is. I think he could very well be ready for that. I think it's something that I don't know if I ask Mason. I haven't asked him. I don't know what he would say. Like some people would rather be on the side and not necessarily be the one front and center. If Mason wants to do that, I think he has the ability to be front and center and be a guy that holds other people accountable. Be the guy that holds himself to a high standard, and that's ultimately what the leader has to do.
Yeah. And I think Mason does that in an everyday way of getting prepared for the game, and that's something he's learned as he's each year that he's got to play so far. And with the leadership, look at how Donovan's kind of slowly built into it. Mason does things differently than Donnie does. He's got a little, but they all have the same mentality: is they're there to win and they're there to perform, and they're going to do what they have to do that. And they're gonna I want to say keep people accountable around them, but they're going to help show people, hey, this is what we're doing to try to win, man. And we want to win. We're not going to tell you how to do you, but you got to figure out how to do you. And that's what's great about both of them, because both of them do themselves differently. So, and that's the beauty about teams, right? You have 26 guys that are from different parts of the country and the world. You have to let guys be themselves, but also everybody can help everybody in a certain way. And you're not trying to mold everybody into the same person, because that just beats you up. I think Mason's got to learn to he learned to let it out so it doesn't fester on him. And people are like, oh, it's too emotional. It's like, man, people that are emotional, if you don't let them let it out, then that's how it overwhelms them, and when they try to hold it in. So him and I had a good talk last year. He's like, man, what do you think about this? And I go, dude, when it's time to let it out, let it out. And I go, then it's go back to work. And the number one thing that he loves to do, if he gets out and someone makes a great play and it pisses him off, his goal is to piss off the other team every time they try to get a hit and take a hit away from him. And that's the beauty of the way he does. It's not, oh, the world's against me. It's like, no, okay, I'll get you back. Like, and that's how he works. And that's what makes it work for him. And everybody's got to have their own way of going about it.
In the ecosystem of a team concept, the clubhouse, it does seem like there's the relievers, the starters, position players. And you just mentioned you talking to Mason. So is there kind of three separate systems in there, Kyle? Explain that to me.
Sorry, had a little noise going on in the background here. I
That's
messed
fine.
up with the mute. Sorry. Gosh, just pulled a real boomer move there. No, not on the good teams or not. I don't think there's that separation. I think it's easy to, more than likely when a team is struggling, like there's still one part of the game that's doing well, whether it's the bullpen or the starters, and it's easy to separate and kind of stay in your group. But no, I think in good teams, in good locker rooms, you got everybody doing stuff with each other and having those conversations like Lance talked about, being willing to go to a hitter and say, hey, what do you see, man? Like being willing to go to one of those bullpen guys and ask him something, and have that close conversation and have that close relationship. I think that's what good teams really do well.
Is there any separation, Lance, or no?
I think there's natural separation just because of the time frame of the day you have each day. So I think that's what you see, right? It's like you have your starting pitchers, they have their bullpen times and their throw times, because everybody can't do it at once, because you get there's not enough field room and time, right? So then the bullpens have their throw time, and then with the catchers, so you see there's that natural separation. But in the clubhouse, there's not, like, in my opinion, you have your guys that kind of are the veterans of each squad, and then but as a group, you're pretty locked in all the way around. You have different guys that bring different things to the clubhouse, whether it's pre or post game skits, whether it's skits on the plane and this and that. So when you have a good team, as Kyle said, everybody's lock in hand. It's not one group that's running anything. It's all groups together. running things. And then, like you said, like some of the best teams I'm playing on, like pitchers or hitters come up to pitchers and be like, "Hey, we face this guy tomorrow. Do you see something that we don't?" And then next thing you know, it's like, "Yeah, man, you can tell that this is his strike pitch, and this is why he uses it here and here." And you can kind of give him tidbits that you see as a pitcher. And then I've had hitters come up to me and be like, "Hey, man, like I know him. He's not going well. So when he's not going well, this is what he does. And if you see him move his foot here or here, this is what he's trying to do." So good teams, when you're not separated, will have those conversations. So, you're naturally separated because of the time of day you have to do things. But when it's game time and stuff like that, the good teams aren't separated. They're about as close as you're going to get. Especially team dinners and stuff like that are good. But I've seen it both ways where you go out to dinner and then there's a relieving group, starter group, position player group, and usually the position player groups are set between old guys and young guys, and they separate. So you tried to make sure, and Kyle and I, as teammates, as the older we got, we tried to make sure we didn't have that separation. We tried to bring guys together, and that was one of the fun things that makes the game fun too, because there's things you can learn from younger kids in this game, and then it's not just you passing things down; it's them keeping you fresh and seeing things a different way too. That you can always improve the older you get.
All right, then we're going to take former Cardinals or Cardinal players that you play with off the table. Give me the best leaders in terms of clubhouse leadership that you've ever been a teammate of, Kyle, and why.
Oh man, I
It's a
would
good
say
question.
you know what? That's a decent question, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you,
That is
Lance.
that's a decent
Thank you, Kyle.
question.
So he asks good questions when you have to think of like, hey, I played on 6 teams, we erased one team, but I've got 162 guys to pick from, and you don't want to leave anybody out. Good
And here we are.
question, Jim.
We're on a time condensed show, and he didn't give me any notes leading up to
Yeah.
this, so I had no idea this question was
You can
coming.
pick
Go
2 or
through
3
your
guys.
500 teammates.
Tell me you couldn't pick 3 guys off the top of your head from each team. You could.
100%.
There's not just
100%.
one guy that sticks
Not
out, and
just
that's the
one.
beauty about baseball.
I'm
There's
going
not
for
one guy
the
who
cream
runs
of the
it.
crop. And
Dude,
as you're sitting there, you're thinking, and there's 3 that are at the top of the list.
100%.
Go.
For me,
Right, set, go.
Kyle Schwarber is near the top of the list. Brian Dozier is near the top of the list. And a guy that, when I talked earlier about maybe not necessarily wanting to lead, but kind of ipso facto led, Eduardo Escobar. He's a guy that wasn't out front, but let me tell you, the impact that he had. One of the biggest separators that can be in a locker room is Latin and non-Latin players. And it's not because everybody butts heads all the time. It's because of just the culture of maybe not speaking English as well, not understanding each side of the culture, right? So comfort factor, both groups end up in their group, right? Eduardo Escobar was maybe the best bridge for the whole team that I might have ever seen. And he was just like, he was amazing for the Latin players, amazing for non-Latin players, American players. And those 3 would be the ones that stand out big time for me.
That's a great answer from a great question. Lance, what do you got?
Well, I got to go with Schwartz in the WBC, so I got to see a little bit of that. I was like, man, him and I would have fun together for a full season. Is what I got.
That'd be dangerous. Dangerous.
Right. I think it would be special. When you talk, I had SB in Minnesota, and he was awesome. It was my first time like meeting him and seeing him do the things. A person very similar to him, Miguel Rojas in LA. You have Mookie, Freddie, all those Muncy, Kirsch, all those guys are great people, great leaders. But SB was able to like bring everybody together in a way that it was fun to see, and he made the game fun. And he's not your superstar name in LA, but a guy like that, you'd be like, oh, how's he the leader of that group or one of the leaders of that group? It's because everybody has a place on the team, and he knew his role, and he did it in a great way. And he made it fun, and he was a great dude. So you have guys that are different, Jim, and every category and every team has a different way. Mookie, Freddie, Jason Hayward, Muncy, Kirsch, they all did it differently, and then they're all great players, right? So you're just kind of seeing that, and then you have SB you have Miggy, who brought everybody together and made everything kind of fun and knew his role too. So that's just saying there's not one specific way to lead, is what Kyle and I are saying. Everybody that he mentioned led differently and did it a different way, and I knew all of them too. So it's kind of fun game, and you just got to find your role. And each team needs it differently each year too.
It's fascinating, honestly, and that's stuff that fans don't see when they say, "Oh, this guy's a leader, that guy." It's really the clubhouse and how they bring the clubhouse together. Yes, Kyle.
Jim, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You don't get asked very many questions on this podcast, which
Well,
I think
good.
it's
Or if he
probably a
does, he
crying
dodges
shame.
them.
It's a
He
crying
dodges them.
shame, quite honestly. So
He's a company
my
man. He
question
won't
for
answer
you,
truthfully.
my question for you, Jim, is who are a few people that, as you were going through your side of the business, who are
Say that question again because you cut
Cut
out.
out. I think he's thinking, who did you see that you thought were great leaders?
Goldschmidt.
no,
Because no.
Jim, off the field for you, Jim. You asked this for us for you, Jim. Who are the people that whether it's a household name that people would know or not? Like, who are people that really helped you in your arena?
You're gay.
Oh,
Who are your leaders?
Okay. Well, first of all, my father, who passed away, was the most talented guy I ever knew. He was a guy who started as a singer, has a gold record. He was a crooner. It dried up, and he had to reinvent himself because there was no rock and roll took over, and he reinvented himself as a game show host and then a talk show host. And he worked throughout and was good at everything. And he told me a lot of things that stay with me to this day. Would you like an example?
I
I
would
would
love
love
one.
one.
I need all the help I can get.
Okay. He said, "Hey, you're on." First of all, he said, if you're on television or in front of a microphone, just accept that you have an ego. Anyone that says I should be on in front of that camera and microphone has an ego." And he also said, and this stayed with me. He said, if some guy comes up to you and says, "I think you're great. You are so great. You're my favorite," and you listen to it, you always are polite to every fan because they're your customers. But if you let that get in your head, then you better be prepared to listen to the guy that says you're awful and you're the worst. And he said, you have family that's in the business, my brother, my sister in it. That's who you use as a sounding board. So all the slings and arrows that a sideline guy like me has to take, um, it's part of the fun. I get it, but it never really. I take everything as it should be in fun. So that's the number one guy that has helped me along the way. How's that? And he's
I
deceased.
love
He's
it.
been gone for a while, but he's the guy that I think about all the time because he taught me everything I know about the industry.
So
I love it.
he was like you were Jackson and Ethan to Matt. That's what your dad was to you.
Yeah, except he was so much better at me at everything. Like maybe I'm the product of the mailman because I always consider myself like a lunch pail like broadcaster. I work hard, I try to be a little funny, but he was just naturally gifted. For example, he could walk into a room and go on stage with no notes, no preparation, and kill it for like an hour because he was gifted. I don't have that. I got to prepare work, but the lessons he taught me along the way have stayed with me, and I'm 62 and I'm on the other side of it now, but I'm hoping to keep my job for another few years.
Don't let him age you out, Jim.
All right, I have one more question. And it's about your friend, and my work friend, Ali Marmol. So, we're getting towards the end of the season. I think Ollie's been kind of honest with the fact that he's trying to make the best of guys who need, as they say, runway and, the cards he's dealt. But there's going to be a new president of baseball operations. He's got another year left. Give me, and I know you guys are pro Ollie as I am, so I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to go with Kyle. Why should Ollie be back?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think in these situations, not every time, but if you are going to make a move, I feel like they probably already would have done it by now, and to kind of get clear the air and say, okay, we're going to go something different and start the search. I think he should be back. I'm hoping that he and Heim have gotten a good relationship going. And I just think the manager is so much at the mercy of the players on the field and the front office behind him. And we've talked about it before. Oli does a great job of bringing the responsibility back to him and back to the group as a whole, and not pointing fingers at people. And I just think he knows the game well. He manages personalities, I feel like, really well, and he would be the guy that I would leave there.
Go ahead, Lance.
No, I'm right there with him. My question would be, what has he done this year that he doesn't warrant to be able to manager next year? He dealt with everything that they handed him this year, and he dealt with it with great class. He was honest. He made guys accountable. He worked. He made the best of the situation he was given. Where other guys, when you're seeing kind of the writing on a doorstep, could easily just say, "Hey, this isn't my situation. I didn't choose this." Oli wants to be a part of the solution, and he is a part of the solution with you seeing how the transition's going. Oli knows, he's been in the development part of things when he was the minor league manager. He knows what is expected and what's wanted, and that's what they're changing going back to. That was kind of lost a little bit after he got to the big leagues. So he knows when the organization was great and the things that they need to get back to, and he also is a student of the game to know where the direction of baseball is going, and he's seen it at the big league level, and he has the ability to help trickle that down to the minor league managers and all that too. So with him and Heim together in this day and age of baseball, I think they could do a lot of damage in a good way for the organization, and I'm hoping that that's the case, because Oli is sitting there and he's worn it in a way that he shouldn't have had to wear it, and he's done it with his head held high and done it for the club. So I'm hoping they take care of him, because he can help usher them in the new phase of baseball that they're trying to do too, because he's living it every day and he knows what he's talking about.
And the last thing I think, and the biggest compliment you can give Oli, is that it's been a rough season. There's been good, there's been bad, but the players still want to play for him. And with everything they've been through, I think tip of the cap to Oli. That's going to do it for this edition of Serving It Up. Thank you, Lance. Thank you, Kyle. I hope I've participated in a way that is a positive. So when you guys go to the convenience store, or as Lance put it, the meat shop in your local area, that people say nicer things.
This might be the best one yet, Jim. No, it can't be because Matt wasn't here, but this was a good one. This was a top 5.
Well, I appreciate you, gentlemen, and that's going to do it for this edition of Serving It Up. Watch for the next one. Hopefully that edition won't suck.